10 enemy swordsmen who would give Zoro a run for his money. Zoro is a formidable swordsman, to the point that few characters in One Piece pose a real challenge to him. However, there are some who do, and they come from various other universes. For those of us who are avid anime fans, we know that there's no shortage of tough swordsmen out there. So let me introduce you to the swordsman who would truly test Zoro and might even defeat him. Folks, Zoro is indeed one of the greatest swordsmen in anime history. But even with such a title, he would still face formidable challenges from other swordsmen on this list, including one from his own universe. There are many swordsmen who possess greater powers, speed, technique, resilience, and some who are downright overpowered with ridiculously absurd abilities that would drastically reduce Zoro's chances of victory. And of course, there's one here who is the swordsman of swordsmen. So stay tuned, because you're about to witness some serious swordplay. Let's go! Ichigo, Bleach. Ichigo would give Zoro a tough fight. Not only is he a skilled swordsman, but he also has transformations and various spiritual abilities that would give him a significant advantage. Not to mention his sword, which is also a spiritual weapon with unique properties and abilities. Even with Zoro's three-sword technique, it would be very difficult to overcome Ichigo with all these advantages. However, if the fight were limited to swordsmanship without spiritual powers or any other shenanigans, then Zoro would demonstrate his mastery with the blades. Hyakkimaru, Dororo. Hyakkimaru may not be a traditional swordsman, but he would give Zoro a good challenge. Despite missing several body parts, which were replaced by spiritual prosthetics, Hyakkimaru gained supernatural abilities that would make the fight more interesting. However, unlike Ichigo, even if Hyakkimaru could use all his powers and abilities, it wouldn't fare well for him. It would be a balanced fight and a true challenge for Zoro, but ultimately, Zoro would emerge victorious. Hyakkimaru's swordsmanship skills and supernatural powers wouldn't be enough to defeat the master of the three swords. Akame ga Kill. Think Zoro is fast? Think he's the fastest swordsman in the anime world? Then you haven't met Akame. Akame's speed is ridiculously absurd. To give you an idea of her incredible speed, not even someone with the ability to stop time could perceive her movements. She's that fast. While Zoro would still have the advantage in brute strength and swordsmanship skills, he would need to be extremely vigilant to avoid getting gutted by Akame, who could do it in the blink of an eye. Zenitsu, Demon Slayer. Now, I know Zenitsu would be at a serious disadvantage in a fight against Zoro. But Zoro tends to have immense confidence and always believes he could easily defeat any opponent because he's tough as nails. This confidence could be Zenitsu's key to victory. Imagine how extremely confident Zoro would become facing a guy who's only a threat when he's asleep. His confidence would skyrocket, and then Zenitsu would unleash his thunder-breathing technique. Let's see how confident Zoro remains after facing such a powerful technique. Of course, Zoro could deflect the blow and realize Zenitsu's toughness, but he could also get hit and be defeated without realizing it. It would be a balanced fight under these circumstances because in any other scenario, Zoro would dominate. Afro Samurai. Folks, this would be a fight that would stop the swordsman world in its tracks. Everyone would gather to witness such a battle, and there are many reasons for that. First, Afro Samurai holds the #1 headband, indicating he's the greatest swordsman in his universe. Second, Zoro is, at least, in the top 3 swordsmen in his universe. It would be a purely sword fight, no magic, supernatural powers, or spirits involved. But that would only be the case until page 2. Because Afro Samurai's #1 headband would give him a significant advantage. This headband has the ability to grant resurrection. If the user is almost done for, it activates a power that drastically increases the user's physical and combat abilities. So that would be the key to catching Zoro off guard and winning the fight. But he couldn't use this ability right at the beginning of the fight. Otherwise, Zoro wouldn't even be tired. And he wouldn't be surprised at all, and would likely end up defeating Afro. Now, if it were after a few hours of fighting, then Zoro would be in trouble. And surely a fight between the two would last for hours. So Afro has a better chance of winning here. Estarossa, the 7 Deadly Sins. If in the last fight there were no supernatural powers and abilities, until page 2. Here, right in the first line, there's all that and more. Folks, Estarossa has many powers that would make the fight extremely unfair for Zoro. But 2 of Estarossa's powers would be way too overpowered, and Zoro would hardly stand a chance. The first is the fact that no one with hatred in their heart can attack Estarossa. And the second, and most overpowered of all, would be full counter, which would allow him to reflect any physical attack with double the original force. So if Zoro were to attempt a desperate final blow, he would be killed by the double force of his own strike. Zoro's chances of winning here are slim, but the chances of an incredible and unforgettable fight are extremely high. Ryuko, Kill la Kill. What are Zoro's greatest advantages as a swordsman? His speed, his strength, and the fact that he can use 3 swords. But all of these advantages wouldn't be 100% effective in a fight against Ryuko. Folks, Ryuko could perceive attacks at the speed of light, something Zoro couldn't even come close to. And Ryuko had incredible physical resilience and durability due to being a hybrid, a half-life fiber. Not to mention, she could recover from any damage, as long as the limb wasn't completely severed. So Zoro would have to land many sword strikes to finish Ryuko. But it wouldn't be easy because Ryuko was indeed a formidable swordsman and would complicate this task, especially since she could regenerate any damage Zoro inflicted on her. Kenpachi Zaraki, Bleach. Folks, Kenpachi Zaraki was so ridiculously powerful that he deliberately weakened himself with an eye patch just to make fights last longer. Pow, the guy was the Saitama of swordsmen. But even so, Zoro would be a challenge worthy of Kenpachi, and he might even have to remove the eye patch to use 100% of his capacity to win a fight against Zoro. Or maybe with the eye patch and the craters he could make with his Zanpakuto, that would already be more than enough? Well, you'd have to put them both to fight to find out. But I think he would have to take off the eye patch, even if just a little. Then with 100% or close to it, Kenpachi would serve Zoro sashimi. Mihawk, One Piece. Zoro is one of the greatest swordsmen, but in the One Piece universe, there's one who is greater and stronger than him, Mihawk. Folks, Mihawk was and is superior to Zoro in all aspects. Physical, mental, strategic, and in swordsmanship, and he only used 1 blade. Moreover, many techniques and moves that Zoro knows were taught by Mihawk himself. So in a fight between the two, Mihawk would know how to deal with any move and attack Zoro made. But it's undeniable that the fight would be incredible. If just their training together was intense, imagine the clash to determine who is the best and greatest swordsman in One Piece. Wow, that would be an amazing fight! Kenshin Himura, Samurai X. No use crying, kicking, or screaming, the greatest and most popular swordsman of all time will always be Kenshin Himura. Folks, he may not have powers, he may not have the most powerful sword in the universe, and he may even be a guy who doesn't kill anymore. But his fencing technique and precise, fast movements make him one of the best in the business, if not the best. Would Zoro's 3-sword technique give him an advantage? It would. But with absolute certainty, Kenshin would have a more than perfect strategy to overcome this technique. This would be one of the most balanced fights of all, which would only be resolved in actual sword fighting, nothing more, and very likely in the end, only Kenshin would be standing. After all, he is and will always be the swordsman of swordsmen.